Well, welcome to Bed Bath & Beyond. How can I make your wishes a true desire today?
My wish is a true desire. Oh, it's been years since somebody's asked me that. I'm looking for the highest thread count available. Can you direct me to that aisle or?
Well, we do have Egyptian cotton, which is pretty popular. What are you actually looking for? I mean, thread count is one thing, but what are you trying to achieve? What is your desire?
Now, here's the thing. I'm looking for the highest thread count available for my bed sheets. And is there a way that you can also direct me to the lowest thread count available? Because I also need to purchase a set of those.
I might be confused here.
What's a step up from sleeping on hay? Do you guys have that? Is that an aisle here at Bed Bath & Beyond?
Well, we do have prickly cotton.
Prickly cotton. That sounds perfect. That sounds perfect for my son.
Continuing
Tonight on 2 C's in a Pod.
96.7 on your... Two C's in a pod, 2 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 C's just like 2 C's in a pod, because we're 2 C's in a pod, just like 2 C's in a pod, 2 C's in a pod at gmail.com. Welcome to another week of the show. That's right, another week of the podcast. This is 2 C's in a pod, the podcast that you can find online, hosted by myself, Cameron Osborne. I'm sitting across the way from Cam LeClaire. This is a radio show. We're two friends. We don't get to see each other too much, and it's nice to set some time apart every week to really just kind of let go from everything.
Let
right?
go. Let's just vent. I pay for therapy from Cam. He records it weekly, and we call it a podcast.
That's exactly it. And I don't give money back to Cam on the other end. There, this is a purely one-sided counseling session. That being said, reach out to 2seasonapod at gmail.com. Do you want live on-air counseling with real life problems that you might have? Reach out to 2seasonapod at gmail.com because we'll listen.
Speaking of listening, I guess this is actually a terrible segue. Yeah, no, there's absolutely no segue there.
If there's one thing that this show is known for, it's its segues. As we know, I like to abruptly cut into something, and Cam, you are a little more subtle, and I like that maybe you took my approach and just directly cut to.
Well, I was thinking of a way to talk about it, but there was just no clear trend. Because normally I can look for a word, but that time I wasn't even looking for a word. What I was gonna say is that you're wearing a basketball jersey today, and I have found the perfect court in my neighborhood that is hidden from everyone. So
hidden from the police.
Hidden from the police. Yeah, the main
Jesus.
people we're scared of. So it's in a
that's
park.
true. That's true.
No streets around it, and the entryways are pathways in, and you can see about 300 meters down each pathway. So if anyone does come,
you think you could book it in time?
Yeah,
right,
100%.
Right, because you just bought a nice pair of Air Jordans. You're moving pretty quickly these days.
Nah, man, I'm not a Nike guy. I just got a new pair of Adidas.
Adidas guy. Oh shit, you're really drawing the line in the sand right there.
That's hot.
Of course, you could have gone with Under Armour. You presumably could have gone with.
I don't think I've ever bought an Under Armour shoe.
An Under Armour shoe? Definitely not. I have an Under Armour.
You bought those basketball shoes? Aren't those Under Armours?
Those are Nikes.
Oh.
Those are Kyrie Irving shoes. I have an Under Armour shirt and an Under Armour short and an Under Armour tight.
Under Armour shorts, yeah.
They're great.
They kind of feel like the tier 3 of sports brands.
Not even tier 3. It's just the one that's not expensive. Or if you go to Sport Check looking for some kind of active wear, the Nike Adidas price point is up here, and Under Armour always will have that $15 less for the same product.
Does it?
Yeah. Oftentimes when I go, I will find that the same a pair of tights that might be like $75 at Nike that might be at Sport Check will probably range for like $45 or $50 Under Armour
I fuck with
Just my
Under Armour
experience.
tights. I do like those.
Just in my experience, again, I mean, it's all pretty arbitrary. Probably you're paying for the logo, so it all depends what logo you want.
Yeah, well, obviously I want the 3 stripes.
See, obviously I want that swoosh.
Yeah, fuck your swoosh.
I guess I'm wearing out of my total clothes right now, folks at home. Of course, it's a beautiful day out here. We might as well just jump straight to some weather and traffic.
Weather and traffic is here right now. Weather and traffic don't have a cow.
Because it is sunny here downtown in the city of what is Toronto the city of something? Like New York,
City of Dreams.
the city of dreams here, Toronto, Ontario. It's nice and sunny. I got to enjoy some time on the balcony today, which was fantastic. Of course, folks at home know that I have a balcony. They know that, Cam, you have a backyard. These are just little personal side notes that we're truly
called a
creating for our
land-off.
listeners.
And out in the Kitchener way, we have almost no traffic because I live in a residential area. Although looking
That's true.
at a
You
map,
live in a
we
little
see
cul-de-sac.
we do see a continued closure, and that is at King Street for the construction of who the hell knows what. But that's probably going to be delaying us for 4 to 6 weeks. But who cares? Because who has anywhere else to go? Looking outside for weather in a different region, sunny as hell, asking for someone to go out and play basketball, even though we're not in Tier 1 yet.
And you might
Back to Cam.
and you might play basketball later today. If so, traffic's looking good. Not
planning
much
on it.
going on. Some action outside the apartment today. There were 2 police cruisers outside of an apartment that I could see down the street, and then that turned into 2 cruisers and the cop SUV. Didn't see how it all played out, but it was
you gotta stand
fairly
outside
early.
and
I think
watch
I
with
was
a
out on the
coffee.
balcony about 9 o'clock, 9:15. I was paying very, very close attention to hopefully seeing somebody come out in handcuffs or, kicking and screaming, flailing around or something. Never got to see it.
I want to see Miranda rights read.
I've always, I know that you have the right to remain silent. Boom, number 1. Anything
the
you say
right-
can and will be
say
used against you
can
in a
and
court
will
of
be
law.
held against you
Boom,
in the court
2.
of law.
3, you have the right to the
You have
attorney.
The right to attorney.
And then maybe it's kind of like a 3.2 is that if you cannot provide an attorney, the state will
attorney.
provide one for you. Right, that's kind of like the half rule.
Is there any more?
It has to be more. I think usually that by that point in the episode of Law and Order, they have cut to a commercial or like cut to the court. They never get into step 4 of those Miranda rights. I'm gonna say there has to be there has to be at least
4.
12.
I'm looking at them right now. And then
What do we got, Cam? What do we got? Number 4.
oh wow, okay, actually we nailed it. If you cannot afford an attorney, you will be provided for one. And then the last question is, do you understand the rights I have just read to you? With these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me?
Okay, so we could say maybe there's like 6 total because like the do you understand?
No, because that counts as one.
Oh,
you have
that's
the right
all
to
of
remain
one.
silent. Anything you say will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, you will be provided one. Do you understand the rights I've just read to you? With these rights, what do you say if you say no? No.
Like if you're going
do you
through
understand the
the
rights I
list.
just said to you? Yeah, and they're like, I don't understand number 4.
I guess then you have to re-explain because
Explain
I
it
think
again.
I've
Explain
seen
it.
I've seen enough cops in movies and TV to know at least the first 4 of those 5 rights, but then to also know I'm fairly certain if you're not read them, then it's a problem for the cops.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's a
problem.
whole thing of like you just kind of took someone off the street or out of their home without telling them.
I don't know why though.
And is that a Canada thing? Cam, I can see you have the list of Miranda rights right in front of you. Is that who is Miranda? Do we know? Can we get her on the show? It'd be fantastic to ask this woman, how she sort of came up with this list of rights.
This is a .org site.
Her police
first question
training,
is,
I would
who
love
is
to know.
Miranda?
Who is Miranda? Number 1. Is it a place? Is it a... Because, of course, if I'm going to come up with a series of rights and, legislation, I'm going to name it after myself.
Oh boy, there's just so much information. Oh, we got a Patrick Barone giving us this question. Are police always required to read the Miranda rights? Miranda rights are not only required when police are questioning you in the context of a criminal investigation and hope to desire to use your statements as evidence against you. Otherwise, Miranda right doesn't apply, and they're not required to be read. So they're only required when they're questioning you.
Only required when they're questioning you, folks. Welcome back to another little sidestep to Criminal Corner here, where we talk about the law. Myself, Cameron Osborne, I have an arts degree. Cam LeClaire over there, you have a business degree. So maybe we can put our two kind of minds together and really focus
It's the buddy
on
cop no one expected.
really focus on the law and order aspect of this. Yes, this is the buddy cop movie that you were waiting for. Step over,
Do you have
Beverly Hills
legal
Cop.
problems that you don't know how to deal with? Maybe a cop beat you down, spit in your face.
Jesus.
Maybe you got that parking ticket that you're trying to run out, or that social distancing fine that you don't plan to pay. Call us live on the podcast. 2 C's in a Pod. Law firm buddy cop
at gmail.com.
gmail.com.
That's right. That's
Just the
right.
first part,
we'll
though.
settle some of those legal disputes. Cam,
Easy.
I've never been in a legal dispute myself. Short of a parking ticket, which
Did you fight a parking ticket?
No, because I think I've gotten maybe one or two in my lifetime, and I was 100%. It was parked at. You could only park until 1 a.m. and my car was there at 3 a.m. It was. I think every time I've been in the wrong.
Before I ask any more questions, you do have the right to remain silent.
I do have the right to remain silent.
Saying we'll be held to content. Yada yada yada.
I have the right to. I have the right to the attorney, of course. If I can't provide an attorney, the state will provide one for me.
For me, yes. Do you understand these rights that I just written to you?
I understand these rights, of course. Here at the 2 C's in a Pod
And do you choose to
podcast,
talk
we
to me?
are just flush with cash, and so I can certainly
answer
afford
that
a
last
lawyer
question.
of my own. Sorry, what was that last question of yours?
Do you wish to talk to me?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, what were you doing out at 3 a.m.?
That's a good question. I probably would have been sleeping. It would have been my car was parked overnight. You get the ticket when the guy comes by. You don't realize until the next morning. That's a pretty normal ticket cause.
It's funny you mentioned that because I did speak with your roommate and he said you weren't home. Where were you that night in question?
That night in question. Oh God. It was approximately 2.5 months ago. I think it was a cold, late February evening.
How well do you know Hillary Clinton?
Not well at all, actually. Not well. She did send me
So
an
you
email.
do know her in some capacity.
Yeah, she sent me an email one time, which I thought was weird because it was from hillary.clinton@gmail.com. I just assumed she would have had a different kind of suffix, but she sent it to me, and I sure as hell believed it was her.
Speaking of emails, I was looking through my spam box the other day.
Always a good place to look, folks at home.
Because I got a lot of shit, and I never know if it's going to be real stuff that comes in that just hits the spam. You got to check it every now and then.
Of course, you got to check it every now and then because you also never know how who will be reaching out to you. Again, listeners of the show, a few weeks ago we spoke to Miss Felicia Saitoti, someone who reached out to us through our spam folder. Somebody of course, Sophia Lucas, who you can remember donated very generously to the podcast because she was passing away from cancer. Again, we found these incredibly generous people reaching out to us through our spam folder.
The one that I found, it's I don't know if you've ever gotten this, but the name listed as our CEO's name, and it'll be like, "Hey Cam, I'm in a meeting right now. Can I call you real quick? What's your cell phone number?" And
Wait,
that's
with your boss's name on it?
Yeah, well, no, the CEO of our company, so it'll say his name.
Yeah.
But then it automatically goes to spam because they just know something's fishy about it.
That's crazy that somebody's out there making an email account with.
Well, I think it's an automated thing.
Okay. Just
So I'll see if I can find one right now.
They search a bunch of CEOs' names and then just make their email addresses.
Well, the thing is the name is the same as my CEO's, but the email address is campusanomac01@gmail.com. So it's not him.
Also, because
it's just
CEOs don't have @gmail.com as their
But I realized that same person emailed me 3 times, and every time what's your phone number? I'm like, why do they want to know my phone number?
Yeah. That,
I know why now.
sounds like a scam.
I know why.
Why?
Yeah, but what do you do with the phone number? Because a lot of people use their secondary verification as their phone number, and
Yeah.
they like text you, right?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Looking for other advice on how to solve these legal mysteries? Two Seasons a Pod, your
Of course.
trusted legal attorney.
Your trusted attorneys here over at Two Season a Pod, which is fantastic. I'm glad we could take some time out of our day to really help some other people with some of those legal problems they might be having.
Speaking of legal problems, we both watched a movie this week about people with legal problems, and that was Con Air.
Quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
The part that I also don't like about it is that
This was fantastic, of course.
no, never seen it. Never seen it.
I love what you're doing. Wow.
I like that. Okay, so I got a few things. Yeah, I don't think we have time to do this. Convict Air.
Convict Air. That's right, Cam. We are on our this has to be our second movie review. And Cam, we got some notes. All right, we got some
oh
notes.
my God,
we
this-
got
this
some
one-
notes. Cam, of course. We were looking for a movie to watch, and
I didn't know what you set me up for here.
I got to be
really didn't.
because I need to be honest. I had some ulterior motives, Cameron, because I haven't watched this movie in a couple years. So I wanted to rewatch it and thought to myself, what no better opportunity to rewatch it with one of my best friends, Cam LeClaire. And of course, you got the opportunity to watch it too. We watched Con Air, the Jerry Bruckheimer explosion masterpiece from 1997.
So, as a quick overhaul, so you guys know what we're talking about here. The movie is a Nicolas Cage, where he goes to jail for accidentally killing someone in a bar fight after I think someone spoke down to his woman or something like that.
So this is fantastic, of course. So we meet Nicolas Cage, of course, Cameron Poe. Another secretly ulterior motive why I could pick this film, because Cam, you and I associate so much with someone named Cameron.
Like they were calling to me.
As Cameron not being the most popular of name or most common of names in the world, I always notice when a character is named Cameron,
sure.
just as much as probably someone named Michael or Andrew notices. I just feel like it happens so much less. For me, it's this and Ferris Bueller's Day Off are kind of like the most well represented Camerons in film. So this is no different. We meet Cameron Poe.
Can we make a quick side note there?
What's that?
Ferris Bueller, never seen it.
There we go. But the best friend, Ferris Bueller's best friend in the film is named Cameron.
Okay.
So
Got
he's also like a main character, which just doesn't happen too much. But we do meet this Cameron Poe, who recently graduated from like the army, from army training. He was a ranger. And that's kind of how like the opening credits montage comes up. He feels way too old to be graduating from like an Army Ranger program, right?
I mean, there's a lot of things wrong
that sort of
with
seems
this.
like something
Yeah.
you do when you're 19 or 20. It sort of seems like Nicolas Cage is getting honorably
Maybe he has a checkered
discharged.
path.
So he's getting honorably discharged on this day to finally go home to his hometown of Mobile, Alabama. Of course, Nicolas Cage spent weeks in Alabama trying to perfect this language, and I gotta say, he fucking did it. He perfected this Alabama twang. What do you think?
Oh my God. As soon as you heard it, you're like, that doesn't sound anything like a
Have you
real
been to
person
Alabama?
speaks.
Because I haven't, but I'm pretty sure that's what somebody
sure.
would sound like from Alabama.
It was just, it took away so much from the movie because you're like, this is the most forced sounding fake accent ever. I can't even like repeat it because it was so bad.
It's a weird choice to make a character, to give a character an accent when it doesn't really bring anything to the whole plot. Maybe making
No, it
him
doesn't
this,
add anything to the story.
maybe making him this good old American kid.
A little more innocent.
Maybe
Yeah.
I don't really know what this goes, but Poe returns to Mobile, Alabama, to this bar where his girlfriend wife Trisha is working, and immediately
I'd like to point out this is a 2-hour movie, and this takes place over quite the beginning of time, like the start of it.
This
not even that relevant to the plot.
We're a minute and a half into the movie. The entire like first sequence is fast tracked in a total of like 5 or 6 minutes. Cameron Poe returns and meets his wife, who is pregnant at the time. But this is a Jerry Bruckheimer movie, so even the pregnant women are ripped. She has they could have given her a pregnancy suit, and they didn't. Like this woman was supposedly ready to burst, and she had a 6-pack. I love that. I love that. Why waste time with pregnancy suits when you can just have hot moms rushing all over the place, right? So he's in the bar. So they're
let's keep plowing ahead.
Oh, it's not even plowing. It's just simple narration. You know, I mean, we are 95 seconds into the movie at this point, where these 3 like hillbilly redneck drunks decide to take it out on Cameron Poe, right? Because he's an army vet. He just kind of got out of the military, and you know he's picking with their shit. And eventually, when they're going home at the end of the night in the pouring rain, these 3 guys decide that this is the opportunity to attack Trisha, the bartender, a woman whose name they know, presumably go to this bar often, and they chose like this night to attack her. And of course, Nicolas Cage, being this army ranger that he is, just runs show and ends up killing the like main asshole
on
guy.
Accident, though.
It's an accident, right? But you know, as we see through the subsequent events, you know, he's going to court. He might serve 7 to 10, and when he gets to the court, the judge decides that his training is so specialized that he does not fall under the same rules as normal human beings. So
this is why you need to
it was with self-defense,
a good lawyer.
This is why you need a good lawyer. This lawyer comes in like sweating in a terrible suit. This guy has no clue what he's doing, and the first thing we hear this lawyer say is, take the plea. Take the plea. Like, this is no confidence in this man, but of course because Cameron Poe is this like worldwide renowned badass, he's legally a weapon, which I don't know if that's another law thing. That we'll see how that kind of plays in.
That's
if that's
true.
The
6th statement under the Miranda rights.
If that's true, that's the 6th part. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you're legally a weapon, none of this
yeah,
none of this
so
counts for you.
Any of these questions. Also, there's a lot more things that don't apply.
So Cameron gets 7 to 10, and in this prison, the credits keep rolling, and it's just this montage of Nicolas Cage working out, reading, sending letters to his daughter and stuff like that. Nick Cage, I gotta say, looking hunky. I gotta say it, you know, mid 90s Nicolas Cage, this prime of Nicolas Cage.
I think he looked a little bizarre.
You know, he's
long
got
hair, big forehead,
his shoulders. He's got nice biceps, which really really come into play in the final scene of this movie. His massive biceps, which we eventually get there.
So he keeps plugging away. He's in jail now, and now, I mean, I feel like this part of the movie took way too long, personally.
Oh, that was that 5 minutes of getting him to jail?
Now they're in jail. No, now they're in jail. A bunch of shit goes on there, but now they have to transport the passengers on a plane. It's going to be only convicts on the plane.
Right. So they're transferring a bunch of prisoners to a new facility and dropping off a couple in the middle, which happens, by the way. That isn't crazy. Putting convicts on plane to transfer them to prisons or buses, whatever, that actually happens all the time. But the man behind all of this is Special Agent Vince Larkin, of course, played by John Cusack in this movie, wearing a shirt that's got to be 6 sizes too big. I love they didn't put any effort into making him look as hunky as Nicolas Cage, but although he is like our secondary main character for some reason.
Now, on this plane consists of several levels of criminals, but actually no, pretty much one level of criminal, which is ultra badass, followed by the most badass person in the world, who is what's the guy's name who's like chained up and shit and kills kids?
Okay, so that character comes by later on one of our stops, but on our first little fleet of bad guys, we have the John Malkovich character playing Cyrus the Virus. We have Ving Rhames as Diamond Dog.
We also have Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle is Pinball, this little cracked out like thief guy, and of course a very young looking Danny Trejo, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, I was surprised by the all-star cast that it had.
This
for
is
such
an
a terrible movie.
all-star cast, and I think
Danny
that's
Trejo did not look as good as he has in the past, though.
Really, I was gonna say he looked fantastic. He was so young. He was so young,
but
when
I
I
mean,
think
he looked a little fluffy. Put it that way. I know what a jacked Danny Trejo looks like, and that wasn't him.
Oh, you wish he maybe again, like I said before, right? It really elevates how good Nicolas Cage looks, because he does look a lot better than all the other all the other lead male characters in this one.
Anyway.
So yeah, we do get these intros
we
of
forgot
people.
about the prison riot.
There was a riot?
There was a riot.
Oh yeah, I think it's like while he's doing the voiceover monologue of like writing letters to his daughter.
Now,
there's a riot in the background, and
I want
he's
to point
just
out in that riot, like how much shenanigans go. Like the video they show is just of bunk beds all within the hallways. There's fire everywhere.
How would they?
Like,
how would you start
I
a
don't
fire
know.
in a prison
I have no
riot?
idea. Yeah, there's fire everywhere. I'm like, this isn't. If I know anything about prison riots, I think they maybe took this.
Now I've seen a fair amount of prison riots in my day. Let me tell you.
As a legal attorney with many criminals, I've seen a lot of prison riots.
Of course, as your official attorney podcast radio show, we've seen our fair share of shit like that. Email twiceesinapod if you've gotten in any trouble in riots recently. So we do kind of get to a point where we are ready to so we're ready to shuttle this hodgepodge group of characters around. We get that classic montage of Larkin is listing off all the shit they've done while the people are showing us how much of a badass they are. And we do get this. John Malkovich's Cyrus is like the creme de la creme of,
he's the real badass
of crazy people. He's 39 years old, and he spent about 25 of them in prisons, which I guess from like 14 on, he's just been
institutionalized.
He's just been institutionalized. So we do get on the plane, and at one point we find out that the DEA has hid somebody else on this plane and given him a gun, although Larkin was very much against giving him a gun. Of course, it's not probably a good idea to have guns on a plane. I've been on planes, and I've
There's always the sign that says no guns allowed.
There's always a sign that says, right when you're walking through customs, the little metal, it says no guns, probably. Do you think it says no? I haven't been to an airport in a while. Does it still say no firearms? Or is that just kind of like an implied
thing?
that
sign that's like, it's like no firearms, no toxic weapons, and no water bottles that are filled up.
Yeah,
and you're like, great.
Because see, the water bottles thing, I get it, because people might not be aware of that, but shouldn't everybody know at this point you don't need to bring a gun on a plane? But this,
I also like how there's the no smoking sign on all airplanes still.
Of course, it's still
really got to update this.
It's almost as though like they couldn't afford to replace the little overhead light. It was like, shit, well, to replace all of that, like the no smoking sign on all the planes, it would cost too much money.
Yeah. I think it was my uncle or something was telling me a story about how he was sitting beside this lady, and she was like just old, and she was like quiet the whole time, and then as soon as they were about to land, she just pulls out a cigarette and lights it, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And
that's like, sick. That is so cool.
And she's like, "What? You can't smoke on here anymore?" It's like, Jesus Christ! Like, did you not see the sign? They still haven't taken it off.
See, maybe you're older, you can get away with that kind of stuff. You're at a restaurant, and then suddenly you start smoking. You're like, oh, I thought this was the smoking section. You wait for the waiter to tell you, oh no, there's no smoking or non-smoke. It's just all non-smoking sections.
Like 80% of your cigarette. You're like, yeah, we both.
Which
know,
also, by the way, if you're old like today, you still presumably would have been kind of like relevant and with it when they did ban cigarettes. Like that was 20 years ago. That they kind of, at least 20 years ago that they kind of made that happen. So you would have been
when I used to work selling office supplies, I'd go to people's doors, like businesses, and chat with them. There was a few that were still ripping darts inside, like smaller place where like no one's ever gonna come by here. And you just walk in, you're like, woof, like there's a.
Well, yeah,
miss it.
I think, like you just said, office, but certainly if you're working in a garage or anything kind of like that, where there's kind of like machines and stuff, that's, I think, probably fairly common too for people to smoke inside.
Even more dangerous though.
Even more dangerous. Yeah, I've hacked a dart filling a lawnmower with gas before.
Yeah,
of course,
and we're still here today.
That's just called being cool.
Yeah.
That's all that is. We cut back to Con Air, of course. Cyrus very perfectly opens that up too, as soon as because shit starts to go down because the pinball character Cyrus and Diamond Dog have all hid like fucking pieces of metal in their hands so they can rip it out and they can jimmy the lock on their restraints. Of course, they get out. All hell breaks loose. This DEA agent eventually has his gun up. He's ready to stop Cyrus, who's the man with the only other gun on the plane. Of course, he broke into the pilot's little office. What do they call that? The cockpit? They call it the pilot's office. It's where he gets all his work done.
Now, this is also when I think it's Cyrus goes in the pilot's office or the pilot's cockpit.
The pilot's office. Yep, it's where he gets all his work done.
Whatever he says to him, but then they contact headquarters, and the pilot's like, everything's fine.
Yes,
like doesn't mention a damn word.
It was the threat with the gun in your face. It was the don't tell them anything or I'll blow your brains out. Of course, shit starts to go sideways.
Of course, but maybe you can do that once he leaves. Maybe you can be like, hey, heads up.
Hey. Heads up, yeah. I mean, I'm sure they would have stopped him there. When shit starts going down, this DEA agent has a hostage. John Malkovich has his own hostage, and they're both just kind of in this Mexican standoff. Of course, it does not end well for our DEA friend, who ends up getting shot down directly in front of Cameron Poe, who has zero reaction, by the way.
No,
to just see a man got shot in front of him he hasn't seen a person dead in 7 years since he killed his last man, and I love it when your action star is just not fazed by like tertiary characters' deaths. It's only somebody close to him who he would actually get sad for.
Right. These are just people.
Because remember, Cameron is getting out of prison today. It's his daughter's birthday. She's 7 or 6 or something like that. So he doesn't really care about these convicts doing badass shit because he's getting out already. He just kind of wants to hold base. But we do have to let off our first crop of people. We end up at this we land in a sandstorm, which again, I've never been to a pilot's office. I'm pretty sure that's a terrible time to land a plane.
Yeah, also a bad time to land a plane. Also, the whole plan would fail if there wasn't a sandstorm.
Or it would have been a lot more difficult because they needed to kind of while pretending to be cops, give over prisoners who were the actual cops, and then take new prisoners in. And in one of the new prisoners that we do get is Steve Buscemi's character, Garland Green, who comes in the full Hannibal Lecter gear. His hands are restrained, his mouth is restrained. We don't really know what he did, but he did massacre 30 people. And he wore
I thought it was a reference that he killed kids.
I don't remember them saying. I think
it was implied, wasn't it?
It was odd because he does later on say that he wore a woman's head as a hat through 3 straights.
As a hat. And how do you do that?
I think it was a woman's. I did think about this, Cam. If you wanted to wear a woman's head as a hat, you would need the woman to have long enough hair that you could tie the hair around your chin like a chin strap.
I'm glad you thought about this.
I did think about this because just logically, would he be holding it on with one hand and trying to drive the car? That would be a whole thing. But he did at that point say women and not a child's hair. So I kind of thought to or childhood. So I kind of thought to myself, maybe he's just this freak. And we also get Swamp Thing. We also get Earl Swamp Thing Williams coming in as our backup pilot. Cam, this is who I would play if I was in the movie. I'd be Swamp Thing. I'd be the pilot. I'd kind of have like a couple good lines in there. Still important enough to the plot without being, doing so much of the legwork. And I would probably last a fair amount of the movie. So, just personally, I think this would be me. He had great mutton chops on there too. It's important for your Vietnam pilot to have cool mutton chops.
So at this point now, we've done the transfer. We're all good. We've got the bad guys on the plane. We're taking off again. All hell is broken loose.
At every moment, all hell is broken loose. Before we take off, so Swamp Thing you got to take out like the kind of the tracker, and he takes it out and leaves it in another plane, and Pinball puts it in another plane.
Box. Yeah, the black box. Right.
So they can't be tracked, which I guess makes sense.
Also, yeah, I guess it makes sense, but also I don't think that's how black boxes work. But
but then again, I don't know how this. I don't know. I don't know how this shit works.
Pilot.
As far as I'm concerned, Jerry Bruckheimer knows what he's doing, and that's why I just kind of believed him.
It's fair. Now, is this the point where I'm trying to remember? At what point are the authorities brought involved on the what's it called? Because there's a really great line where they say like, basically, there's the headquarters that are having the call with them, and they're like, what's the plan for this? What's the protocol for when these crooks hijack a plane? And they're like, we don't have a plan for this. Which is like, isn't that the first thing you, like, after making sure the plane is fueled, what's the protocol if these criminals, which we have on plane, take over the flight?
Yeah, they certainly didn't have a backup plan.
Zero
again,
backup
so
plan.
At this point, we're kind of like 50 minutes into the movie, and Larkin has done nothing that resembles competency at all. Again, like, this is his ship, or this is his plane. He's flying prisoners around. This is very much on him. He doesn't have the backup plan for what to happen when shit goes awry. It's great when, one of your other lead characters really, truly does nothing, for a big part of the movie.
Yeah, at this point, I think I was a little disappointed that this is the movie that you choose, because I really had no idea what was coming my way.
Exactly. You have no clue what's about to happen, right? Like, we've already had this much action. We know more action has to ensue. I mean, we're on a giant fucking plane. Do we think this is going to land nicely and simply? How many plane movies have ended with like a very calm,
I
very
don't remember
nice...
Snakes on a Plane, but it might have ended that way.
Neither do I. Huh. Air Force One landed in a crash. Flight was a crash. That Sully movie was a crash. What about
Top Gun? Top Gun probably a crash.
I think Goose got shot down. But I think Tom Cruise, Maverick or whatever his name was, kept landing the plane.
I don't really know any other plane movies.
We've got the one with Jodie Foster, where she doesn't know where her kid is, and then the whole thing's like, did she see when you're up at 30,000 feet, the stakes are just so much higher. I love plane movies. I can see how people would feel.
Like 3.
I can see how people would feel claustrophobic watching a plane movie, because there is very little set around like outside of that. But with the
it's
stakes
also cheap to make. With
the stakes so high, you need I guess you need you just need a cock or a pilot's office. That's all you need.
You just need a fake plane. That's it.
Or a real plane.
I don't know. That might be even cheaper. Yeah, just.
The real plane might be less expensive.
What's cheaper, renting a plane for like a month or probably building a fake plane?
Let us know. twoseasonapod@gmail.com. So by this point, we're back up in the air, but the cops know, because Larkin does his first competent thing, which is like he discovers the decoder, sort of using to communicate with Cyrus's character about how Cyrus and co plan to escape from all this.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even say that I'm fully locked in at this point. I think this point I'm like half in, half out of the movie.
Oh, see, yeah, he actually figures something out for the first time. Yeah, so we're like I said, we're an hour in, and he just kind of did something good for us.
It's a 2-hour movie, and it could have been 45 minutes.
This thing feels like 45 minutes. This thing sure as hell flies by. Cameron has to go down to the like undercarriage because he has to clean out the landing gear because it's stuck for some reason. Turns out it's stuck with Pinball, who wasn't able to make it back on the plane.
I don't know if you noticed that scene too. They did a really shitty job of like making a fake Pinball. If you looked at the model of him, it was like kind of just looked like a claymation of
the
Pinball.
fake body. Yeah, the fake body. Well, that's him. Well, Cam, I mean, I think that's one of those things like you need to contextually put this in 1997. Right?
It's not even that long ago.
From a movie tech point of view,
is it?
It sure as hell seems like a long time ago, right?
I don't know. I'm not a movie guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's mid to late 90s thing. Yeah, you're gonna have it's gonna be a prop body. It's not gonna be something else kind of body because we do see a dead Pinball, which Cameron has to throw out of the plane to get the landing gear up. But he is able to write down a note on Pinball's shirt for Larkin, telling him to meet them at Lerner Air Force Base, which is an abandoned plane graveyard. Just kind of small plane airstrip in the middle of the desert.
Yes, and that's where all hell breaks loose for the fourth time.
For the fourth time, all hell breaks loose. Cameron is joined by another one of the bad guys who figures out that Cameron is a liar. And then they have one of my favorite fight scenes out there because they're crouched over and on their knees. I can't think of a single other fight scene in any other movie where the characters are bent over so much because they're hiding under a plane. That's super cool. That was super cool to me.
Yeah, I mean,
Baddie, of course, ends up getting stabbed like in the ass. It kind of looks like there's this like poke sticking out, and he kind of like ends up sitting on it, and then that happens. You know, the plane kind of ends up making this emergency landing down at the Lerner Strip, but nobody knows they're here
seems
yet.
Like there's also feels like there's a sandstorm there as well, so it's continuing with that theme.
Well, we're middle of the desert. There's sandstorms.
Yeah,
there's probably
what I have
sandstorms.
To say is there's
all
not
over
always
the
a
place.
sandstorm, but if we're gonna stick with the continuity theme of there's going to be a sandstorm at the other airport, which causes all the conundrum, which allows for the criminals to get onto the plane and for the hot swap with the police officers, we better have the sandstorm at the next airport that we're going to be at. Because,
of course, nobody. Larkin's the only person that knows that we're at this other airport or at this other landing strip because the DEA, the dumbass DEA agent and the rest of the cops are following the black box, which is actually in a whole different plane. So they're just like following a family tour plane and not actually doing anything?
Yeah, as per usual in these movies, the cops aren't very diligent.
So
Larkin, except in some movies.
So Larkin ends up making his way to the airstrip where Con Air is. He hides the car. Nobody knows he's there. And we get 74 minutes into the movie before...
Again, my point... way too long of a movie.
No, this is great. We're so far into the movie and the two main characters just met. I think that's cool. I think that's kind of fun when that does happen. I mean, we always meet main characters right off the bat. You'll meet kind of like the background character maybe in the second act of something. But these are like two huge stars, the stars of the film, and it takes us so long before they're actually in the same room together.
Yeah. I mean, keep it rolling here, buddy. Let's. I want to hear your critical analysis of this. I can't say that at this point I was paying the most attention to the movie. I had multiple things going on at this point.
Well, of course, the plane was down on the ground. Plane movies aren't as fun when the plane's on the ground because we got to get this baby up.
Well, I thought, okay, I did catch this point.
We got to get this baby up in the sky.
Yeah, we need to get this baby up in the sky, but now there's a gunfight. Now the big guns come out.
Yes, because there are like actual guns in a compartment like that you have to access from being outside the plane, which is why Cyrus didn't have the guns when he was inside the plane. They are able to actually access this stuff where Larkin and Cameron are working together to take them down, but Cyrus thinks Cameron's a nice guy or working alongside them.
And it's a full stock of M16 rifles for you gun nuts out there.
Yeah, and one of those ones that fires like little grenades. One of those type of things.
Noob tubes.
I think, what are they called?
Noob tubes in COD, at least we call them.
Noob tubes, of course. Yeah, that's what Diamond Dog has for a couple points. So they have this plan to take out the cops who are coming in to find Con Air, because eventually the cops will kind of turn around. And now this is great because there's miles of desert in every direction, and the police choose to come down the only bottleneck for miles, leading them straight to Con Air instead of having this plan of maybe going around. They just go straight through this little one by one. Everyone's moving 4 miles per hour, and this is where our first like gun scene gets in. Our first like real explosion scene comes up, which is
they come down right down Main Street, down the center line here.
Yep.
And a few of them are killed, but Larkin makes a very clever ploy and grabs a bulldozer to defend some of these.
Yes, of course. So Larkin, our fairly incompetent member of the correctional system,
he pulls this out of his ass.
On two separate occasions, the camera pans up from him wearing socks with sandals. I don't know if you caught those too. Like
I did notice that.
The guy's just a fucking dweeb, but he's pulling it out. Do you think
that must have been intentional?
Probably. So this movie apparently was being there were slight rewrites were happening every single day on set. They would rewrite some certain things to do just with lines or what certain characters were doing at a certain time. So this maybe seems like one of those things that in an earlier draft, he was meant to be far dweebier than he actually was. And then he kind of maybe ended up turning into this badass because he's riding a motorcycle in socks and Birkenstocks.
Yeah, maybe they just took that shot like weeks and weeks before. They're like, just throw it in here. I don't know.
And then he may end up kind of throwing it in there because he's still doing it. While all of this is happening, Gerald Green, our like kind of sociopath killer, has walked over to this trailer park area where this little girl is playing. She's having like a tea time party playing in an empty pool.
Yes.
Yes. So I guess people live on Lerner Air Force Base airstrip. I guess.
Why was she there? I don't know. Was it a hallucination?
I guess she lives there. I thought the same thing too. Of course, because Gerald Green, he has no clue what to do, and you see it in his eyes that he wants to kill her.
And that's where I think that possibly he was a child killer.
And it's kind of meant to play that way. Of course, Steve Buscemi, top of the game at this time too, right? I mean, Reservoir Dogs was the year before, Fargo was the year before, so he is well liked. So we had to get him in some kind of creepy plot because eventually we come back to the little area where they were playing, and neither of them are there. The teacup's broken, so you're just thinking to yourself, he fucked her. Are they fucking right now?
Intentionally left vague.
Are they fucking right now? I probably don't think they're fucking because eventually the police, like we were saying, they're just getting the shit kicked out of them. We do get the plane back up in the air. Gerald Green's on the plane, and Garland Green, is on the plane, and the little girl's waving at him. So I'm gonna assume they didn't fuck, or they did fuck, and she was just thanking him for it.
Who knows? We'll never find that out. Intentionally left vague.
Yeah, but certainly not a figment of his imagination. I wouldn't say.
I don't know
because she was there at the end. I don't think they would have given her a thing like waving goodbye.
You said this thing changed plots every day, and I'm gonna say that was not. That could have been someone just changing the script, and being like, "Let's throw them right off our scent here."
Of course, well, anytime a movie rolls around like this, it could always be a Jacob's Ladder type situation. Of course,
I have seen that one.
Exactly, this whole thing could be a Nicholas.
Dream?
This whole thing could all be he's been dead the whole time, but we don't know because we're back up in the air, and through Cameron Poe tried to stop the plane from he was tied it down, but the rope obviously broke, and the hook grabs the shitty DEA agent's beautiful new Corvette. and he just like swings it through the air, which is so cool. It's always fun to see nice cars get destroyed.
Slang.
Like seeing a cop car get destroyed. We've seen that. Seeing a taxi cab get destroyed. We've all seen that. But like seeing like a very, very, very nice 2-door Corvette just slam through this like wood shack is always going to be fun.
So, we gotta keep plowing ahead. We're like 50 minutes into this podcast here. I know it's a 2-hour movie, but
yeah, we're about halfway through this. We're about halfway through this, Cam. So we're flying, and so by now the entire plan has gone awry because at the Air Force Base, Cameron dealt with the people who were supposed to pick up Cyrus, and now we're just trying to fly away. Because we need to fucking get away. So now, I don't know the geography.
Do we need a summary for the listeners at home of everything that's gone on so far? Just quick summary here.
This is the quick summary.
But
this is the summary.
This summary's been going on for 40 minutes.
Because we're surmising.
I guess it is a 42-hour movie.
I wish it was 42 hours. Oh my god.
You really like this movie, eh?
I fucking love this movie. So about this point, I don't know my geography that well in southwestern United States, but I guess this Air Force base in California contains some sort of proximity to Las Vegas.
Yes.
Because we are like running out of gas on this
thing. Now they're
thing.
going to the strip.
We're running out of gas on this thing, and we can't quite make it to the airstrip just outside Las Vegas, so I think Swamp Thing deduces that we need to stop this thing. And of course, it's going to come down right on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yes. I mean, if you've ever been to Las Vegas, the international airport is very close to the Strip. Like
very, very close.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we start the crashing, Cam, and this is where this film truly comes apart. The amount of unnecessary civilian casualties. As soon as there's unnecessary civilian casualties in a movie, I'm drawn in. That's something they never address in the Avengers type movies. They're destroying New York City, destroying this place.
No, but no
They're
one
never
ever
talking
dies.
about the sure numbers of people. We crashed this massive cargo Con Air straight down the middle of the strip. We took out the Hard Rock Cafe hotel. We're taking shit out left, right, and center. We are killing so many people.
Easily the biggest tragedy ever.
Easily the biggest tragedy. And by the way, keep in mind, all of this is on John Cusack. This is all on Larkin. It's his plane. He was in charge of the transfer. He didn't have the backup plan for what to do when this was happening. This is all on Larkin, all of these people's deaths, of course, and then we crash the plane, and it almost feels like the movie's over. Of course, some of the prisoners are getting tended to, are getting kind of locked away. Cameron is here.
Cannot forget the great scene where there's actually continue.
Well, all I was going to say was because now it sort of seems like we've taken a bit of a rest because we've contacted Cameron's wife and his daughter, and they are en route to Vegas for some reason to meet him as he gets out, right? So Cameron comes out, and he's all bloody, he's sweaty, he's dirty, and he still has the gift he wants to give to his little daughter. And they get to meet for the first time.
There was a very important, not important, but great cinematic moment where once they crash the plane, the propeller flies off the plane, hits a building, then flies back across right in front of Cameron and
it's between Cyrus, Cameron and Cyrus. It goes like between them,
right?
Which is
as
super
fist
cool.
Fighting, goes right through the plane as do propellers.
And Cyrus is getting away, and we don't know. Larkin has a great line here where he says he's calling ahead to the Las Vegas Police Department, and he says, "We're going to need police cars and fire engines." I always just thought they were called fire trucks, but not in this
fire
case.
Truck
of course,
is copyright.
Different. Right, yeah, the term fire truck is, you can't say that, because this is a Disney movie. We all know Universal owns fire trucks.
Right.
as we all know.
Anyway.
As we all know anyway,
We're-
Cyrus is getting away on one of these previously mentioned fire engines. Of course.
As well as Diamond Dog and Swamp Thing.
As well as Diamond Dog and Swamp Thing. Again, Cam, are any of these characters resonating with you? Who would you play if you were in this movie?
I'm definitely more of a Johnny 23 type character.
Gross. I'm sure our hordes of female listeners will probably not take time to watch this movie, so they won't understand what that means. They might just think it's a Michael Jordan thing, because 23, baby. So of course we had the time. We've had plane chases, we had plane crashes, we had gun fights. We had, it really seems like the only thing we're missing here is a car chase. So we get it. Of course. We have Larkin and Cameron hopping on these. Larkin's still in his Birkenstocks and socks. He's still wearing them, by the way. They hop on these police bikes, and they end up going after Swamp Thing, Diamond Dog, and Cyrus as they're on this, and we end up getting this incredible fight where Cyrus is on top of the fire truck and Cameron is underneath it, just kind of doing chin-ups on the ladder on the fire truck, and it's huge. He's just essentially, it was like a 45-second scene of him doing chin-ups while slightly moving around. Nicolas Cage looks great, like I just said. He's got the wife beater, or the A-frame tank top, whatever you want to call it.
A-frame tank top. I've never heard that term.
Yeah, A-framed undershirt, I guess, would probably be the more appropriate.
What's that mean?
I think it's what you call a wife beater. They're not actually called wife beaters. Like
I know, I've just never heard that
style
term.
The style of shirt, I believe, has a name, and I believe it's.
Aren't they just called sleeveless?
I don't
Sleeveless
think so.
shirts?
I don't know. For whatever reason, it's the only look that he's got this whole movie. This
A-frame
undershirt,
tank tops.
his his nice like lightly washed blue jeans. Great look, by the way.
Yeah.
They made him. I mean, I really can't say enough of that. Anyways, we do get to a point because the movie does have to come to an end. What's happening when the good guys are fighting the bad guys? Of course, the good guys are going to take it. The fire truck ends up crashing into like a Brinks truck, so money's going everywhere. And Cyrus ends up like getting launched and falling off into a construction site where it's nighttime and they're still kind of crushing rocks for some reason. I guess they need to crush rocks at construction sites. Cyrus ends up with his head directly under this rock crusher. He doesn't have the strength to move.
Now, I did read this about the film in production. They are actually considering doing the climatic finale at the White House, not the Las Vegas Strip. But they wanted the dichotomy of convicts cashing in, and that was their dichotomy. Yeah. So
Either location would have been a lot of fun. For that,
I think the White House would have been more fun, and if you could get the president in there at some point, being like, what?
I would
God's
also
name is going on.
What president? What president?
Reagan.
Is that?
President Reagan.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's going to be Reagan. I would also like to point out, if we are exploring potential Jacob's Ladder type situations, the way that Cyrus dies in the end with that rock crusher is oddly similar to the background of the opening scene where Cameron kills the guy. There is a construction scene in the background. Possibly the last thing he saw before he died was what he envisioned his nemesis dying of. Again, this is all purely in Jacob's Ladder type situations. You don't know what that means, right into the show, twoseasonapod@gmail.com. We will let you know about it, of course, but the movie's over. Cameron saved the day. There's only one more thing left to happen, which is to finally meet his daughter and see his wife Trisha for the first time in 7 years. They're hesitant at first, but then they eventually get over that. Everybody's crying. They give each other a hug to the tune of LeAnn Rimes' How Do I Live Without You, the song written for the movie. If this didn't put a tear in your eye, you're just quite frankly a robot.
And that was our critical analysis.
And that was the movie. So much fun, of course. Of course, you know it's from 1997. This is a Jerry Bruckheimer movie, so if you know, you know. We already knew what was happening. This had a budget of $75 million, and it made
had the box office.
It made just over
$224
million. It was the 17th highest grossing movie of the year. Number one, of course, being Titanic, that grossed $1.8 billion. This did gross more movies than other personal favorites of mine, like Anaconda, Jackie Brown, and Speed 2.
Have you seen Anaconda 2? Anaconda
Of course.
2?
Anaconda
That
does.
one's one of my
I think it's
personal
just
favorite.
plural.
Yeah,
You
Anaconda's
pluralized it. And this movie it fell 3 shots short of Face Off, another great Nicolas Cage movie. Again, this was his day, and the 5th highest grossing that movie that year was another plane movie, Air Force One, of course, because people like
haven't
planes.
seen that one. And if you're looking for a complete list of films on the podcast or on the movie, send an email to
What are they doing?
send an email to twiceesinapod@gmail.com.
Wait, for what purpose? What's the purpose for that?
If they want a complete list of all the different planes used in the flight.
Of course, because Larkin isn't a chopper jet at one point. By the way, he goes from being the most incompetent, cop, to driving a Corvette, he can drive stick very well. He can drive a chopper, like a gunner pilot thing at one point, and then a motorcycle. So his character arc really comes around for me.
Wow,
we think,
I did not think our summary would last that long.
Just the one more thing. Just the one more thing. After Cameron hugs his wife and daughter for the first time ever, and it's so lovely, we cut to a craps table where it comes out that Steve Buscemi's character Green he's playing craps. He's kind of gotten out. And he looks, there's a pretty woman beside him looking at him as if, hey, you're making a lot of money. And it's unknown if maybe, he has reformed himself or
if he's going to kill that lady.
Or if he's going to and wear her head driving across through states. I mean, her hair, her hair was a bob. I don't know if you noticed that. So it wasn't quite long enough to maybe tie the chin strap. But I still think it would have worked.
I didn't think about that, but thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, you're welcome, Cam. I gotta say, I love this movie. This is
clearly you had very detailed notes. I felt very differently about it. Yeah, I think I would give it a Nick Cage 4 out of 20.
What? What's okay? Then what's your Nick Cage 20 out of 20? You gotta provide the scale. Like, is Moonstruck 20 out of 20?
No, that's 9 out of 11.
But then how does this Nicolas Cage scale work?
Well, it's either 6 out of 9, 4 out of 20, or 9 out of 11.
Interesting. It's a very, very specific, very, very specific guideline. Doesn't work in percentages. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. You should definitely watch the movie because, it's just fun. It's just
a movie. Yeah,
fun.
I can say that it is a movie.
You know what, Cam? We were discussing earlier on in the week what movie we should do. I suggested something that was fun. You suggested things that weren't.
I will have a good weekend because I'm going up to the cottage this weekend, and there's a lot of real shitty action movies up there that I will gladly watch, and you will now watch them.
Which is perfect because, Cam, folks at home, let's know what you want to hear on this twoseasonpod@gmail.com, right? I mean,
or if you don't want to hear this at all.
I love enjoying bad movies because you can all have fun. Whereas picking a kind of unanimously good movie would sort of just us be saying like, "Yep, it was good," or "Yep, it was good." And
I'm a real critic. I can figure out everything that's wrong with the movie.
But see, again, Cam, when you say wrong, we're trying to establish what you mean. Are you speaking? Last week you were speaking purely contextually. You had problems with the way that Jack Nicholson turned off one of his televisions. You had a problem with that because it was he didn't use the remote. So and then you had very specific problems.
And that's
things.
what problems are. They're specific.
Right. Well, yeah, that's one of your biggest problems with Armageddon, right? Was that like they went, they made it back, which is very difficult.
Armageddon. What's Armageddon?
You know, one where they go to space and there's a problem and they barely make it back.
I never seen that movie.
Bruce Willis?
Nope.
Okay, so how do you feel about movies like something like Avatar? How do you feel about that? Because they're on a different planet. I mean, that's barely conceivable.
How do I feel about Avatar?
It's tough. Hey, what about a movie like Superman? You know, the idea of a man with powers beyond our
I just look at those like. See, I look at those like fun, and they kind of build the plot line around him having these superpowers. But then, if they had a scene where the characters meaninglessly breaking TVs, and then obviously has to replace them, I'm gonna have a small problem with that.
Right, because your problem is like, why would he break a television when he's gonna have to? It
just doesn't make any sense.
He's gonna have to clean it up.
It's not like he's a maid there.
He's gonna have to throw it away. He's gonna have to go to the store and buy a new one. Why would someone go to so much trouble?
Yeah.
Which makes a good point.
See,
Cam.
flying, I'm like, okay, that's in this world, but in this world, are we also saying there's just an abundance of TVs?
Oh, like a TV overload.
Yeah, and I don't think so.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
if you're gonna build a world, just
remember how many
TVs.
Just remember how. Yeah, exactly. Right. How many TVs exist?
Right.
I hope in the opening credits of any movie they can just kind of briefly, tell us what happens, what exists, what doesn't. Does Spotify exist in this world? I don't know. Just let me know.
Is this kind of a Bing? Did we search with Bing or Google?
Yes. Yeah. Do we use Google? Do we use Bing? Do most people have @live.com accounts instead of @Gmail? I don't know. It would be lovely if things could sort of posit these certain realities.
Okay, well, thanks for tuning into our strictly movie review. Are we even gonna do games, or like we're an hour into this?
We're an hour in, baby. We can keep going. The radio station 96.7. They've recently given us a little bit of leeway. First we started off in our show with very strictly 63 minutes. They would not waver on our show being 63 minutes. But lately, we've brought in so many new views to the radio station. Of course, our corporate office just keeps getting bigger and bigger. They say that we can go on for as long as we want.
All right, well, let's jump into, do we want to play both games or just one?
Cam, I'm going to let you say something, and then I will follow you blindly.
Okay.
I know. I'm just waiting for you to say it. I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited as you're about to say something, Cam. I feel like you're searching for something on your computer, which could lead us down a whole new rabbit hole of trying to regain your attention.
All right. Company sells fake muscles and boobs for people's Zoom dates. Headline or asinine?
Oh, we're playing headline or asinine.
Hey. Headline or asinine. Headline or asinine.
You gotta start off with saying what it is.
Because you said I'm gonna go based off whatever you say, so I said something.
You want to say it again, Cam? No, I wasn't even. I wasn't. I was expecting you to just. Okay. Say it again.
Oh, okay. Company sells fake muscles and boobs for people's Zoom dates.
Say what? That doesn't make any sense. Say it again.
Company sells fake muscles and boobs for people's Zoom dates.
Oh, like you would wear the fake tits.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I
get it.
Tell.
How do you sell fake muscles? I mean, like, because I can understand, putting, you can stuff a bra and look slightly differently. You could do that. But how do you make fake muscles? That would be a lot of fun too. Because I think there'd be you'd have to wear like a skin-colored shirt, and then maybe you could have like little muscle, maybe muscle pockets that would hide them in. Unless it's just a bunch of like silly putty. If this is really just a headline for company sells silly putty for you to look good, that's something I would believe, because I don't know. I don't think silly putty decomposes. I feel like that's going to be around for a while. I feel like they made a lot of it, and it's not really going anywhere. That's a headline.
That is a headline. I mean, you have it a little bit off. Essentially, it's like The muscle suits, how they look is just like a full upper body, and it's kind of just like it kind of just looks like you have pillows on top of you, but if you put a shirt over top it, you look a lot more filled out. And for the boobs, it's like a skin toned, goes over your boobs, makes them look bigger. Yeah, it's people are doing this. People are going on Zoom dates. I don't know how I feel about that. Thank God, Cam, we have each other, so we don't need to go on Zoom dates.
Yeah, that's a good
and
point.
I'm definitely not wearing any fake muscles. I just heard about it through like friend.
Yes, of course. Yeah, you didn't buy any. I know that that $350 charge on your credit card was something unrelated. But I did hear about that. Okay, yes. Cam, here I go. Headliner Ask 9. Here you go. Number 1. Bigamy is no longer a felony in Utah.
Bigamy. So bigamy is being racist, right?
Nope. But if you want to believe that for the sake of this headline, then sure.
What does bigamy mean?
Bigamy is when you are already married to somebody and you would like to marry somebody else. Marrying someone when you're already married. No, that's not
bigamy.
That's bigamy.
That's not bigamy.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
I mean, you can Google search the definition to the
Googling
word.
it.
I'm telling you,
Fuck,
or you could
right.
just believe
okay,
your
damn it,
friend.
You're right.
I know I'm right. I told you.
I was thinking the word. I was thinking bigot.
You were thinking bigot, yeah, which I believe is discriminating to somebody against their sexual orientation. But no, this is bigamy.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I'm way off on everything. But if you need legal counsel for...
yeah, if you need legal counsel, reach out to twiceesinapod@gmail.com. Of course, Cam can provide that for you. He knows his words. I swear he does.
I know his words.
He knows words.
Okay, so of the words you said, could you repeat them?
Would you like me to repeat them in the order in which I initially repeated them, or would you like me to kind of like Yoda the phrase or Tarantino the phrase?
Just feed me something.
Bigamy is no longer a felony in Utah.
Okay. Okay. So bigamy means having more than one marriage, and because in Utah they have that religious group up there that has a lot of polygamy. I know that word.
Almost like the two words could be related. Polygamy.
Could be. We're not confirming or denying. Could this be the Charlie's Ladder theory? We'll never know. Jacob's Ladder.
No, how could this get? How could this be a Jacob's Ladder?
You never know. You never know.
Your first wife killed you, and then you envisioned marrying a new one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You never know. Was it all a dream all along? Who knows? It's this Lost season 4. It's a headline.
This is Lost season 4, quite frankly, because I went to go take a piss and that smoky thing came up to me. That's season 1, Cam. That's a headline, of course. Polygamy has always been practiced in Utah, of course, by certain religious groups, but it's always an issue. It's always been a state issue as to whether or not they can marry, and a new law came in decriminalizing bigamy, of course, for decades, for 47 years now. Bigamy was a 3rd-degree felony, punishable with up to 5 years in prison. And now, just not the case. The practice is no longer illegal under state law. However, it is still illegal under federal law. But I guess we got to get there. We're still pushing.
No one knows how those laws work.
We're still pushing these laws. So if you're married and you want to get married again, just go straight up to Utah. Go to Salt Lake City.
The
Salt Lake. It's the city with the Salt Lake.
What's the nickname for the Salt Lake City?
I'm pretty sure Utah.
No, there's got to be how Sault
like
Ste.
Toronto
Marie
is the city of Toronto is the city of dreams, and Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. Salt Lake City is the city of salt lakes.
Yeah,
something like that.
Salty lakes. All right. Driver arrested after asking border agents if he could buy weed off them.
Driver arrested after asking border agents if you can buy weed off of them.
Yeah.
God damn, this is just stupid enough to apply. I mean, so if you're coming from the States to Canada, knowing the Canadian weed laws the way that they are, being legal and all, maybe you just assume that not everyone has it, and everyone has enough to sell. Everyone's got, everyone's kind of got their little scale, their dime bags. They take it to work with them because you never know when you're going to sell weed. You never know when someone's going to want weed, and you always want to be ready for it, right? If I'm a border agent, that's where I'm going to probably sell my most amount of weed. You can't bring weed into Canada, but once you're here, I'll toss you a 5-chip, no problem. That's a headline.
That's a headline. 29-year-old out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, drove into the inspection lane, declared he had marijuana, asked the border security officer if he could buy marijuana from them. Don't know if that's how that works, Kyle, but yeah, you've been arrested for impaired driving, big fella, and that's a headline.
Yeah, I don't, because it's still like you can't sell weed, although it is legal to have. It's like you couldn't purchase beer and then sell that beer. I'm pretty sure that act in itself is illegal.
It's like I can't have a gun and sell a gun to you.
Exactly. I can't do any of those things.
Yeah, it's just like Jacob
I can't do any of
Flatter,
those things. Yeah,
Jacob's Ladder.
It's extremely. It's just Jacob. This entire episode has been one Jacob's Ladder type situation where our listeners, passed out. They fell asleep very early on in the episode, and this is just what they've been imagining has been happening this whole time. But they're actually asleep.
Just like Jacob's Ladder.
I think it was Tim Robbins, but that has nothing to do with it. Cam, headline or asinine, forget chickenpox parties. Coronavirus parties is the new thing.
Ooh, I'm interested. I'm intrigued. Because we all know that, actually we don't all know this, and these numbers are definitely not verified, but 50 to 80% of people are asymptomatic. So if you're one of the lucky few and are asymptomatic but get those antibodies, you'll be laughing all the way to the Mayo Clinic, because that's a headline.
That's asinine. I made that one up.
Fuck. It's a good plan.
I made that one up, but I did want to say, folks at home, let us know, twiceesinapod@gmail.com. I both hosted and attended chickenpox parties when I was a young kid. I got it from
Why would you do both? Oh, you got it then
because I think I went
it.
to a party, then got it, and then because of course that happens.
Did your
You're like
parents
5
tell
or
you
6.
it was a chickenpox party?
No. They didn't, because I don't, and of course people can probably get very, 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 very sick from chickenpox, especially when you get in your life, but I don't recall it as ever being like an illness like a cold or a flu was. It was just sort of I had chickenpox. I don't ever remember maybe being tired or weak or anything like that, and that was always the worst part. It was like you felt so good, but you couldn't go play with your friends, and I can certainly recall going to a party. Someone has chickenpox. You don't think you're 5. You don't know anything. Your mom tells you to do something.
You don't understand epidemiology at 5?
You fucking go it. Yeah, exactly.
Fucking
and then
pussy.
next time comes in, and I remember, I can just remember the one at my house where it was like my mom and it was 3 other kids from my class. So all the moms were like having wine in the living room while all the sons were just kind of like coughing on each other and playing with the same toys to give everyone chickenpox.
Yeah, it's just such a Jacob's Ladder thing, you know?
It's such a Jacob's Ladder type situation.
Well, let's man, it's just you never know. You just never know, like they always say. Jacob's Ladder.
You never know.
Murder hornets on the menu. California restaurants offering quirky snack.
Hornets on the menu. You know what? For eating bugs and insects, isn't that crazy? A huge source of protein. People all over the world are eating bugs and insects and stuff. But I gotta think that something with a stinger probably takes a little more time to prepare, because you don't want to eat the stinger. That's gonna nick you in the mouth.
Is it though?
It could. I'm presumably those things are pretty sharp. And you're trying to bite. You could chew down on a bee, and then
farmer.
Eventually, you were a bee farmer for approximately 7 or 8 years. You were never stung though, which
no, I was stung all the time.
No, you were stung all the time.
Yes.
Interesting, but you kept the job going because the money.
Because the stings don't hurt after a while. You get a few stings, and your body gets immune to it.
Interesting. It's just like the flu, right? Yeah, like you get the flu shot.
You get the antibodies.
And then you're kind of good from all the stuff.
I'm serious. In the spring, you get your first couple bee stings, and then they don't hurt anymore because your body just used to.
When was the last time you got a bee sting, Cam?
last time I was working as a bee farmer.
Which was approximately 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
That's been a while. Yeah, I feel like you get. I feel like us normies, you kind of get stung twice. You get like stung once when you're a kid, and then once when you're an adult, and that's kind of it.
Wasp things hurt like a motherfucker.
I know I've been stung, and well, like you said, wasp things hurt, and I think hornet stings would hurt the same. So that's why I got to say that's asinine.
Damn it! You got me. You caught me in one of my lies.
Not to say that eating bugs wouldn't be fun. I recall one time as a young child eating a singular ladybug. I remember
Gross.
like I was on my finger and I was like, oh my god, the preciousness of life. And then I just kind of put it in my mouth. Didn't have a taste. I don't really know. The sample size was too small. Let us know. twoseasonspod@gmail.com. What have you eaten today, ever, back then?
My brother used to eat dog food.
I used to eat dog food all the time.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, the dry kibble. Yeah, you're fucking snack on it because you're right beside it's your dog, it's your buddy. You know he's eating it. So you think to yourself. And by the way, I was a kid when I was doing this. Okay, I stopped eating dog food when I was like 14.
My ass. I remember when you came back last time to my house.
Exactly.
Stealing Riley's food.
I got straight down on all fours. Of course, as you know, I started panting a little bit. Started getting myself in the mood of a dog.
Want to go for a walk.
I wanted to go for a walk, of course. Cam, I brought my own leash with a little tag of telling me, who to call if I get lost. Cam, my final headline here for you, headliner asinine, mysterious radio signals from space is repeating every 16 days.
Every 6 days?
16 days, 1-6.
I mean, this is definitely unconventional of you to do a headline like this that is a little bit mysterious, a little bit from NASA, never a straight answer. And do I think it's true? Well, I mean, I can't say I can explain what it is. Maybe it's someone trying to send us a podcast. Maybe it's like, I don't know, something to do with, it's like a Jacob's Ladder phenomenon. Who knows? I'm going to say it's a headline.
You know what? It could be like another 1997 movie, Contact, and they maybe just want to talk to us, Cam, because that's a headline, of course. Radio signals traveling through space are known to repeat. That's not outside the norm, but something crazy has been happening between September 16th of 2018 and September of 2019, of course, where the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment / Fast Radio Burst Project collaboration, very, very wordy marquee, has noticed a pattern of radio signals approaching their satellites in bursts that are occurring every 16.35 days. Over the course of 4 days, a signal would release a burst or two each hour, and then it would go silent for another 12 days. And then in 16 days, we would see another burst for 4 hours and then silent again. This is a little weird.
Maybe it's Avicii doing a big bass drop from the dead.
Avicii has been planning on this massive bass drop from another dimension, of course, threatening to drop the bass as we know it.
Boom.
Truly detrimental to what we could potentially be. Anyways, this is weird. The Chime FRB, of course, the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment Fast Burst Radio Project, have noticed the repeating signals. They were able to trace it back to a large spiral galaxy, which is approximately 500 million light years away.
Okay.
That's where they're coming from.
What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
I think it means we got to go to this. We got to go. We got to go take it. That's what we did in Contact. That's what we got to do in this one.
All right. What should we send them back?
This episode of the podcast, I think.
I think so.
I think
they'll really like the in-depth analysis of Con Air.
What are those called? Like the time machine. Oh no, what are they called when you like time capsule? Right? If we are to release our time capsule, it would be our fantastic new YouTube header photo, as well as this episode, and then also a copy of Con Air with our voices dubbed over doing the commentary, so you can watch it and then hear us. And
I think it'll be about as long.
It might be as long, because like we said, if it was, we could have talked about Con Air for hours.
Wow. Okay. That's a podcast.
That's the podcast because Cam called the podcast. That's right, folks. Remember to rate, review, like, and subscribe to the show because we're everywhere. We're on Google Play. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. Remember to listen on YouTube and give us a like because I don't know how to get those YouTube numbers up. We're still trying to do that. Cam, any final words you want to say to the folks at home?
Never forget Jacob's Ladder.
Never forget we could be in a Jacob's Ladder situation. Cam, you take care of yourself, and we'll talk real soon.
Continuing tonight on Two C's in a Pod. 96.7 on your Two C's in a pod, 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 two C's just like two C's in a pod, two C's because we're two C's in a pod, two C's just like two C's in a pod, two C's in a pod at gmail.com.